Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Well, we are going to continue looking at making the best of our desktop environments, and today we are going to look at Budgie. A few people actually asked me for this one in light of the Mate and the Cinnamon versions that I did. And so we are going to look at the latest version of Budgie from Solus 4.0. All right, so we're going to cover just the basics of the desktop, how to get it configured, just the basic things to make your desktop your own and make the system that you really would like. All right, so here we are on Solus Budgie. Now, of course, depending on which build you have, you may have something that is slightly different. So Ubuntu Budgie likes putting the panel at the top because that's Ubuntu's thing. A lot of your Budgie instances will put your panel at the bottom. We are using Solus because the Solus team is who developed Budgie, and so we will have, I think, the best experience overall. So some things may be slightly different depending on what you're doing and what version of Budgie you have. So to start out, of course, Budgie has a basic menu. This is really the only menu you have. It's a good menu. It just doesn't have much customizability. We have a basic panel. We also have a Raven menu, which is where you will get applets, which will give you a lot of useful information, such as your microphone inputs, outputs, calendars. If you're playing media, it will appear down here. We also have notifications over here. Now, something I missed in my first video is I had commented if you remove the power button from the bottom, then you don't have the power options here. Those are actually there. It's just on this version of Budgie, they are disabled by default. I'm not sure if that's always been an option you could turn on or turn off, but it is there. I'm going to show you where that section is. Now, of course, on this, we also do not have desktop icons, but we can turn them on if we would like to. And so what we're going to do is first just kind of the basics. Right-clicking, because we have folder options turned off, this is the only system that we have. We can go to displays, we can change our background, and we can do our settings. All right. Now, there are, like I said, you can enable the desktop icons. If you do, you will see more things in the menu here. So let's go ahead and have a look at our settings. Now, this is your GNOME settings. Budgie is based on GNOME, and so this is the settings panel that you'd be used to if you were doing GNOME. But there is another settings panel, which is the Budgie desktop settings. We will not look into the GNOME settings today just because it's standard with most of the other GNOME stuff. The only one that you might really want to take interest in is look at your online accounts in the event you want to connect to Google, Nextcloud, Facebook, Microsoft, etc. You can actually integrate your online accounts here. And those will integrate here to your different things. You also have things, your basic backgrounds, privacy settings, sharing, sound, devices, details, things like that. So we are going to look mostly at the Budgie desktop settings today. So of course, over here, enabling your desktop icons. Now we will have the ability to create a new folder, keep your icons aligned, organize desktop by name. So there's other options in here turning this on. And then we have the ability to enable a different series of things as well. So I like to keep my system looking much like this. That's my personal preference. You may or may not have preferences, but this is where you make those changes. Again, changing the background, this just brings up your GNOME settings. So you can come into here and just find the background that you like the most for what you're doing. So let's go ahead and change the background. So see what that looks like. Very easy, simple stuff, nothing major. Let's go with this one. I think that this will be, I don't know, that's a little dark actually. Oh, the cute kitten desktop. We have to do that one. All right. We found our desktop, guys. We found our desktop. All right. So we're going to run with this. Now, the next thing is looking at your different styling. So these are kind of your widget styles. This will kind of determine what some of your widgets look like. We'll talk about looking at some widgets a little bit later, but you have some options to change those around. Our icon sets, we just have a few icons built in by default. Again, based on the distro, you'll have different variety of icons to choose from. There's no place where you can install icons basically from the GUI, but like most Linux systems, you can actually put a .icons folder in your home directory, or if you wanted to install them system-wide, you could go into your computer and put them inside. I think it's under user share. So inside of here, there will be an icons folder, fonts folders, things like that. So that's much the same. Then, of course, cursors the same way. Notifications will determine where your notifications happen to be. And then, of course, we have light theme and dark theme options. Now, the theming, I've never quite got all the theming exactly where I wanted it to be with Budgie. So, of course, we have light theme, dark theme here. But again, if I'm over here and you toggle this, it doesn't seem to do much. So it is going to be dependent on your individual theme setups, what things look like and stuff like that. So, of course, this one looks much the same, but it does have light theme, dark theme options. The default one does not. So this is kind of where you change it. And then there's animations. So does this kind of go up instantly, or is it going to go up or down with little animations? All right. So that's kind of your basic styling. Fonts, of course, you can do your text scaling here. We'll go ahead and bump this up just a little bit so you guys can see the video a little bit better. So that's how you can do your text scaling. And then, of course, you can set your fonts and things like that. Now, Raven, this is the place where I missed this setting on the original review of Budgie on Solus 4. When you toggle this on, now we have our power, our settings, our lock screen on the bottom. So if I toggle that off, that now disappears. I don't know if this has always been an option or if they have added it and they've just made it disabled by default. I personally like that option. Show media control widgets. What that is if we happen to have some music playing. So I'll go ahead and boot up Rhythm Box here. Now you'll see Rhythm Box will have its own little widget down here. So I can actually... toggling that should turn off your music players. Again, the same with your show your microphones, show your sounds, show your calendars, basic things like this. You can toggle this one to allow your volume to go up a little bit higher. As far as windows, attach modal dialogues to windows. So these are when you get a little pop-up of some form or another. Is it going to be detached from the window or attached from the window? You have your button layout. You can put it kind of like more of a Mac view, more like a Windows view. And then when you launch new windows, do those appear center on the screen or do they not? I'm not sure why that one didn't. I'm not sure exactly which one that's covering. Disable night mode when windows are full screen, so you can turn that on or off, automatic tiling, and then window focuses, things like that. Now, the next place, let's go ahead and jump down to auto start. So if you want to auto start any applications, you can do a simple command or an application. So from here, you can find an application, and whatever you were to put in here, it will automatically start when the system loads. You can also run a command, which you just type in the command that you want. All right, so now as far as your panels are concerned, we have panels here, and when you click on your panel, you have the option to set your position. So if you like your panels on the top, it's just a simple matter of grabbing this. You can put them on the left, on the right. I personally like them on the bottom. That's what I like. Totally up to you. Of course, you can increase or decrease the size of your panel here, depending on how big or small you happen to like it. And then you can set your automatic hide. So our automatic will automatically hide our panels. There's intelligent. If you get something near it, it will hide. And I like to set never. So that's my personal preference. And then you can do transparency. So we have some degree of transparency on the panel. There's drop shadows, style reasons, and then dock mode. So your dock mode will condense your panel down to this size here, or you can go large like this. So those are the various settings that you have. You also have various applets. Okay, so with my power options turned on this, I actually would probably not want to run the, let's go ahead and remove that applet, gets rid of the power button things. I prefer them to be on the Raven menu. That's what I like to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Also of note, the default when you boot something up, we have more like a Windows type approach, a modern Windows approach where everything just kind of stays over there. If you like your task list, you just need to find an applet, load up the applet for this. And what you're going to do is, I think it is task list. So adding the task list, we're going to add that applet. So you'll see it'll drop, but it defaults to the center. So we're just going to use my arrows and move things around. So you can actually go ahead and move stuff around all over the place. I like it kind of like this. Now, one of the things that I don't really like about Budgie is, as of now, they still do not have the option to set these up like a quick launch bar. So if I click this, as many times as I click this, I get a new one. There still is no option to do that I am aware of. But nevertheless, it's okay enough for me. I can add my task list. There's other things. So like I can add caffeine as something that I sometimes like, because there's times I'm going to walk away from the computer multiple times throughout the day and I want the screen to turn off. But there's times I never want the screen to turn off if I'm sitting here. And so caffeine allows you to do that. That is, go ahead and put that over here. So I can come over here and I can enable caffeine so the screen will never go out, or I can disable it. And then it will not. All right, so there's other applets in here as well. There's not a ton of them. I believe that you can, there might be some applets that you can find. So that's your basic settings. If you want to, you can create a new panel. So the new panel there, it will kind of give us our default where, the next one goes on the top. So if you want to put like a giant task list of shortcuts across the whole top and intelligently hide it, you could do something like that. If you would just want some of the information up there and not everything, you can have multiple different panels. And then of course, you can delete the panel with the button over there. So that is kind of your Budgie. There's not a lot else to it than that. So what I like about Budgie is it is a very modern desktop. It has a lot of your basic modern functionalities. It has more functions and features than GNOME does. It is fairly fast, snappy, and responsive. That's the other thing I didn't do. How much system memory is it using? So right now we're using less than a gig of RAM, which is pretty good. Go ahead and time and date settings over there. I can automatic time zones. I can select my formatting over here for the clock as well. That's something I didn't do earlier. So that, in a nutshell, is Budgie. Very nice system, easy to work with. It has just enough options, just enough flexibility, but doesn't overwhelm you with choices. So that's really why I like the Budgie desktop. Let me know what you think about the Budgie desktop and which one of these desktops that I should talk about next. If you want to help support the channel, have a look at the links up above me or in the description down below, and you can follow along on any of the social media accounts there if you would like to get some better updates as to what's going on the channel. So thanks for coming along, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.